In Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Let's take a look at that starting five. Winthrop has won 22 of its last 25, led by a Big South Player of the Year, Keon Johnson. 4 upperclassmen in the starting five.
Got some good size.
Winthrop versus Butler. The ball is tipped in Milwaukee. So Butler 5-5 in their last 10 games, but one of those, the second win over Villanova. They won at Xavier, at large out of the Big East. 9th appearance in 11 years in the NCAA tournament. And the first touch goes to Andrew Travis.
And you're going to see a lot of touches in the post. A lot of the offense runs through him. He's a very good post passer. They like to get him the ball and let their perimeter people go to work.
Obio KK wants it on the post. Instead, it's poked away into the backcourt. Save, still loose, out of bounds. Finally, Ted Valentine has a call.
There's a foul. There was just quick hands that time, and Roman took his eye off the ball. Good hustle to keep the ball alive, and then you see that push right at the end.
Foul is on Roderick Perkins, the senior 3-man for Winthrop.
Butler doesn't turn it over very often. They led the league in that category, only 10 turnovers a game, so expect them to be very sharp. And there's that post passing that you were talking about, Mike, on the skip.
And look at it, this, because of that, Winthrop has to double. It opens up guys, and that's a terrific cross-court pass. The last things you learn as a big man is how to pass out of the double team.
And Travis wasn't the leading scorer for Butler all season long. Keelan Martin off the benches. However, Travis was the first team All-Big East performer for this team.
Keon Johnson gets the first bucket for Winthrop.
And, he's electric with 5'6", can knock down to 3, average 22.5 points a game, 40% from 3.
Savage spins it in. Hot shooting start for Butler, 3 for 3.
Butler's a team that's going to make you close out on every movement, every action of the basketball because they're so connected on that end.
Cooks mid-range. Yeah. Nobody's missed a shot yet.
Yeah, Xavier Cooks, and he plays a 4 and 5, but he's a little bit more perimeter oriented. Likes to pull away from the basket, shoot the mid-range jump shot.
I think the matchup to keep an eye on is Okeke and Weidman inside, and who can win that rebounding battle. Both of those guys are good on drop-offs and putbacks.
Woodson hits his second 3. The senior from Mississippi, graduate transfer from Memphis, came to Butler for this moment to play in the NCAA tournament.
You see, and Pat Kelsey talked about the fact that Butler's so hard to prepare for because they run so many different things. You really have to get back to your basics.
You got to really trust your defensive concepts that you've prepared for everything you might see because Butler is a very good read and react offense.
Savage attacks, play on. Cooks has the board.
You know, Mike, I watched more film of Butler than any other team in our 8 teams here because of the way they play, the way they share the ball, the way they move, the way they read their cadence and their tempo offensively in the quarter court.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're just very disciplined. And looking at this whole region, that one of the things that steps out at me, most of the teams, low turnover teams, the basketball is gold. They value it above all else and give themselves chances.
Johnson in the paint, kick out.
He's really good at snaking behind those step-up screens. You have to make sure you really close the gap on his quickness.
Johnson on the deck, 5 to shoot. Timeout. Granted.
And I'm not a big fan of that, Carter. There's only 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and you lose your carryover timeout. I'm really not a big fan in the second half of saving the possession.
Straight into Cooks. It rolls off. Xavier Cooks, the junior from Australia.
Now Winthrop switching in their man-to-man.
Travis doubled, so they kick out. Woodson finally misses after he had his first 2 looks from 3.
Yeah, they're gonna switch a lot of the crosses, especially out on the perimeter, 1 through 4, get into rotation.
Cooks nearly throws it away, but back to Winthrop out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Not to be confused with Rock Ridge. Rock the Hill, as they like to say.
Rock the Hill in Winthrop, just south of Charlotte.
Yeah, just over the border from North Carolina.
12 true road wins. That's tied with Monmouth for the most in college basketball.
High hands on a closeout. Good hedge right there by Weidman.
Cooks, and yet underneath, Prescott dunks it down off a good look from Cooks.
Like they like to X out on the backside when they hedge right there, but they did get over in rotation.
Yeah, and that's you've got some pretty good perimeter shooters as well, and they're going to get out on Broman, especially try to drive him off the three-point line. He doesn't shoot a ton of free throws.
Travis Broman reaches in, and a foul somewhere in there. Definitely a foul on Broman. The question is whether it's on 10 Anders or 13 Bjorn Broman.
It's on Anders that time, and that time it's Shabbos got caught a little outside, almost got himself into trouble, Deb, with the dribble, but got bailed out with the foul.
You know, he recognized the smaller defender on him right away, and that's part of the IQ that Travis plays with. Really impressive. His ball skills, but also his IQ and the way he passes the basketball.
Andrew Travis from Rhode Island. You watch live games on your computer, phone, tablet, or streaming device with NCAA March Madness Live. Watch now at ncaa.com/March Madness or download the app today.
One of the things you like about Shabbos is a 2.28 assist-to-turnover ratio, which is great for a guard. Is almost unheard of for a center, which is why you want to put the ball in his hands.
Well, March is about guard play. It's about who you trust on the floor. You want to put the ball in the hands of the people that you trust.
Right on cue, here's Keon Johnson with the runner. Missed it around Baldwin. And now Kamar Baldwin pushes.
Yeah, he's got a knack of getting to the free throw line. Over 200 attempts this year, but no call on that play.
Woodson left alone, and he has 3 made threes to get it started for Butler.
Just great rotation that time, Deb, to the open shooter, swinging to the basketball.
It's because they run the floor so hard, and they make you defend all the way to the baseline.
Johnson rejected by Baldwin. Kamar Baldwin. Get it back to Woodson. This time Winthrop there on the catch. Feed to the post. White, Johnson strips it out of bounds. Winthrop basketball. After Keon Johnson strips it away.
Leading scorer. He's coming off of the Big South tournament where he was the MVP and he averaged 31 points. Back-to-back games of 31 points. They got to find a set for him that works.
Well, and the problem too, Deb, is he's best in the open floor, and because Butler's shooting such a high percentage of taking the ball out of the basket, he hasn't been able to get out and run yet.
It's really hard to speed Butler up.
Cooks in the corner for 3. Make it 1 for last 6 for Winthrop.
It's much easier to slow down a team that likes to play fast rather than the other way, and it's proven to be that so early on in this game.
Offensive foul called on Tyler Weidman. We're talking about Keon Johnson. We got to visit with him yesterday and mentioned to him, you're one of Ernie Johnson's favorite guys in the tournament. You know what Keon said? That's what's up. So, Ernie, EJ, you're out there. That's
cool.
What's up.
That's cool.
Rocking the bow tie?
Yeah, absolutely. Here is Keon Johnson with his second made 3.
Talking about sets, that great screen by Cooks up top gives him an open look.
And look how explosive he goes from the bounce right into his jump shot. Very quick.
Who would have thought Baldwin at 6 foot? I don't know if he's ever had a size advantage over anybody he's played against, but this is the case in this game. He had a block against Johnson early in the game.
9 to shoot. Savage into the corner. This is Baldwin, 4 to shoot. Baldwin takes it. Boarded by Davenport. Cooks attacks. Xavier Cooks. Back into the hands of Keon Johnson. Let's check in with Lisa.
Yeah, well, Keon Johnson told us use size as your advantage. Everyone talks about how he's 5'7". That's a disadvantage, but he looks at it as an advantage. His message to shorter guards, be taller. You can't be taller, so be quicker, be smarter, be tougher. And Carter, when he was giving us that advice, he literally was looking you and I in the eye. Because we stand about, right, eye level with him?
Yeah, he used one of those ladders to be up there with Debbie and Mike.
Well, if Carter were wearing heels, he'd be a little bit taller. But, I played with a guy named Muggsy Bogues at 5'3", and he kind of walked out the door every day with a little chip on his shoulder. And this guy reminds me a little bit of him. He's short, but he's very powerfully built.
What he does well is controls the ground. That's what good point guards do. They handle, they defend their position. He's not going to be a high flyer around the rim, although he is a good finisher inside. He can get to the free throw line. He does his job well with his size, with his skill set.
The high-scoring second unit in the game for Butler. Phelan Martin, their leading scorer, coming off the bench, along with Tyler Lewis, the fifth-year senior. Started his career at NC State. Both been coming off the bench.
Yeah, Winthrop a little concerned about their defensive glass in this game because of the size of those two bigs.
Davenport attacks. Foul called on Nate Fowler. Those are the Moeller High School guys, both from Cincinnati.
Yeah, you get back-to-back stops. You get able to run a little bit here, and it's a good take to the rim.
Davenport to the line after getting the foul called on Fowler.
75% from there, so you trust him at the line.
Watching the big dance calls for big refreshment. So grab a delicious ice-cold Coca-Cola and enjoy the game. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling. Talking about Keon Johnson, he had a piece for the Players Tribune. Said 8th grade he showed up at an AAU tournament. Words of young Jeezy get home. I got to go to work. I got to outwork everybody if I'm going to make it to the NCAA tournament, play college basketball. And here he is.
Well, he was thinking about being a football player. He was a slot receiver, and Kelsey thinks that might be where some of his toughness came about.
That last two possessions, they've tried a high-low set with Chavez and Fowler. Chavez, the passer up front, and come up empty both times. And I think Chavez kind of blamed himself that time that Fowler had some real estate to catch it in.
Well, this is the big lineup for sure on the floor with Butler and Martin on the floor, as well as Chavez and Weidman.
3 turnovers for Butler. They average only 10. Now, the good news is they had 16 in their win at Villanova. Here's Johnson off the bounds. Keon Johnson gets to the rim to make it a 2-point game.
Such explosion. He took out 3 defenders, too, going through the rim.
Lewis in tight. Fowler around Davenport.
Now, Tyler Lewis on the floor definitely has great vision. He's a pass-first point guard. Good find on the roll to the rim by Fowler.
Keon Johnson has 8 of Winthrop's 13. Cooks in tight. Fight for the rebound. Out of bounds off Butler. It is Winthrop basketball as the Eagles look to soar back after the hot start by Butler.
And Lisa.
Thanks, Adam. You know, we saw Bruce Pearl in the video earlier. I think Bruce might have some tips on how to effectively play an Eagle for big stuff. The Winthrop mascot.
Just as long as he doesn't paint himself orange in the studio.
Yeah, that's a very good wardrobe tip. Very good. Keep the wardrobe on. Good call, Mike.
Moved on to Auburn colors now, so that might look better, but I doubt it.
I'm going to say your suspicions are right. Butler continues to execute the offense well.
He just come with a closeout. Watch on the defensive end. High hands. Look at the range of Keon Johnson.
Nearly shot that from the bracket at midcourt. Fowler straight away, well short. On the deck, Martin trying to save it. Timeout granted to Butler to the Wildcats.
Salt Nova.
Yeah, right. Nova, and congratulations to Chris Collins in Northwestern. One of the stories of the tournament. First time ever appearance. Some pretty good teams with the nickname Wildcat. That's a pretty good 5 right there.
We got some proud dads watching their sons coaching this tournament for the first time. Chris Collins is one.
Well, I don't know if you call Doug proud. It's more like a nervous wreck.
Richard Pitino will have later. His father Rick still coaching in the tournament with Louisville. Of course, Bryce Drew.
Lewis ahead to Fowler. It's knocked out of there by Johnson. Avery Woodson with all 4 made threes for Butler.
Here are the looks, and and this is early on. They've been giving Fowler some room, and that's off of the break. Travis has been playing more at the high post, and so they've been inverting. He ran the floor extremely well that time, and of course, he got Tyler Lewis, the transfer from NC State, more of a pass-first point guard.
Right. Great passing efficiency from Tyler Lewis. This is his 4th NCAA tournament, 2 with the Wolfpack, his 2nd here with Butler. And he makes great plays in the shoot. And he's found Fowler the last 3 times down the floor.
And Tyler Lewis is a very wise young man. He got engaged to Allie Burgess yesterday. We asked him, what are you doing for the wedding night? He said, nothing.
Smart man.
Very smart.
So he passed off that responsibility, too.
Right. Best assist ever. Roderick Perkins with a much-needed 3 for Winthrop.
You got to have those kind of plays go your way if you're Winthrop and you want to pull the upset here. You know, 2 guys fall down for Butler, broken play. You got to be able to make those open shots.
There is Tyler Lewis off the bounce. That is already turnover number 4 for Butler. And again, 8th fewest in the nation. They averaged just 10 a game.
Yeah, I don't know that was a wise choice either on that pass. It was tough. He really would have had to make the perfect pass on that play. It looked like Weidman ran out of room underneath the basket.
Winthrop had it to 2. Well, Butler extending the lead again. This is Bjorn Broman. Cooks thought about the 3. Takes it to the paint. Inside. Rejected from behind by Keelan Martin. Sending Butler on the run, but they turn it over for a 5th time. And Cooks, run-out dunk for Winthrop.
Well, it wasn't actually a run-out. He never really got back over it. Yeah, it was a run-out from 3, from just at the top of the free throw line.
Mike, that might get Cooks going. I think he's turned down some shots, and now they're going to some ball screening offense with him and a little short pop. He's open. He's got to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Keelan Martin eyed that one for a while.
And, he's 16 point. He is really a super aggressive scorer. I mean, he's looking at the rim. But I agree with you, Dave. We talked earlier about Keon Johnson, but Cooks, second leading scorer, and does average 3 assists a game, but has been passive early.
Gives this one up to Bjorn Broman. Cooks is now 2 for 9 shooting. Lewis off the screen from Weidman. On to Martin. Johnson has the board. Johnson attacks. Rejected inside. Out of bounds. Winthrop keeps it. Weidman there to give Keon Johnson a hand back to his feet.
Deb, with those 2 primary bigs out for Butler, Winthrop's been able to go out and run the floor a little bit more, but this is a terrific recovery by Tyler Weidman on the break.
What great closeout speed right there by Weidman, who chased him down. And that's, according to Chris Holtman, one of the fastest players that he's seen in the NCAA tournament. Keon Johnson going length of the floor.
89 career blocks now for Weidman. 6th in Butler history. That's a travel. And it is the 4th turnover by Winthrop. First committed by Keon Johnson.
It's amazing that a lot of referees will let a guard get away with that play, especially if he's going away from the basket, where Johnson was. But a bigger player get that called every time. It even looks close to a travel.
They should.
Yeah, there's no sympathy, Mr. Jaminski.
Well, my coach just got nervous. It was more than one power dribble.
You had the 2 dribble rule, Mike?
Man.
When Butler pushing the basketball up the floor and not allowing Winthrop to get matched up properly. He didn't have anyone near 10 feet near him on his shots.
9 to shoot out of the timeout. Travis on the repost. Backing in. Travis goes with the right. Defended well by Davenport.
Good look inside, and Travis had a lot of time to maneuver on that shot.
Travis gets the board here, clears it to Tyler Lewis, the senior from Statesville, North Carolina. Lewis off the window. Tyler Lewis gets to the hole. Double-digit lead for a 2nd time for Butler.
Well, we talked about him being a point guard, pass first point guard, Deb, but when nobody guards you, I mean, that was like a layup in the gym by yourself.
I mean, he's capable. He shoots at 52% from the floor. Any guard that's good. 42% from the 3-point line.
9 to shoot here. Broman gives it up. Perkins off the bounce. 2 to shoot. He passes. So Broman shot clock violation. Let's check in with Lisa.
Well, the last couple of possessions, Butler's gone inside, but the emphasis in the last Winthrop huddle was the 5 for 9 3-point shooting by Butler. Pat Kelsey saying, hey, guys, we have to know our personnel. The shooters are getting the looks here this afternoon. We got to shut that down immediately.
You know, Deb, I would think right now that Winthrop would be better off covering the 3 line and letting them play 2-point basketball with the bigs inside, kind of taking your chances and slow that statistic down a little.
And, you know, Mike, early those threes came, and then since then, Winthrop has been able to score, so they've been able to get back in transition and not giving up some late threes or some early threes in offense in transition.
Weidman in tight, so they play the 2-point defense. Get a stop, a rebound. Cooks on the run. Johnson passes ahead. Cooks gets it back, and it finally goes for Xavier Cooks.
Good flash into the screen. It's always easier to receive in the post when you're a moving target rather than a stationary one, and just got in front of the defender and had a good look.
Travis trying to go baseline to 9. 9 to shoot. Baldwin out of the corner. The 6th made 3 by Butler.
Now that one was contested.
But, you know, it's 5-6 contesting it with all due, and you know, and it's still a good swing of the basketball, and he's going to be able to play over the top of that.
Prescott can't finish. That's how the first half has gone for Winthrop. Baldwin back to the corner for Lewis. Off the shot fake, a heck of a mismatch. But Butler settles for the jumper. It's cleared by Winthrop.
Yeah, that's a huge miss. You got to see that roll right there. You almost couldn't see Keon Johnson behind the roll on the switch.
And to his credit, too, on the shot, they did a nice job of keeping Weidman off the offensive glass.
Cooks from outside. Spins out again for Cooks. 3 for 10 shooting now in the first half. 6 made threes for Butler, and that was a strength for Winthrop defending the 3. Opponents only shoot 31% from 3-point against them all year.
Look at the ball reversal by Butler.
With 5 to shoot. Woodson hits it again. His 5th made 3, the 7th for the Bulldogs.
I watched that whole possession, and Ryder Perkins was locked in on him the whole time, and he still made the 3.
Roman can't answer. Avery Woodson, who is a graduate transfer from Memphis, didn't make the tournament in 3 years with the Tigers, making the most of this moment with Butler. Weidman fouled inside. He'll earn a trip to the line with a foul on Prescott. 7 made threes in the first half for Butler.
Oh, let's catch and shoot early. Good ball movement, good reversal. Look at the spacing by Butler. Doing a nice job. That's Martin's 3. Otherwise, it's been Woodson. What a beautiful stroke. And it's okay with me if he shoots till his arm falls off.
You know, and that's that last play. You know, Tyler Lewis got into the lane. I think you have to make him finish, Deb. You got to, because he drew everybody in and kicked back out to Weidman. That's why he gets to the free throw line.
Well, Tyler Lewis has 4 assists, and all of them are in the shoot. It's drop-offs over the top, and they're not allowing him to. They're not keeping him in front. They're giving him a chance to penetrate. You got to stop the basketball and not allow him to the middle of the floor.
Lewis on the bench now. Weidman's going to join him there.
And I got a sense if they burned that timeout early to get that possession with 5 seconds, I get a feeling that Pat Kelsey would have liked to call the timeout earlier than the under 4 mark.
There's isolation for Cooks. See, that's what I think he needs to do, Mike. He's not hitting the face-up.
He has Sports app now to experience every moment of the action.
Cartwright and Deb, I think this is a critical 3:44 for Winthrop. You're not going to get it all back right now, but to cut it in half and get some momentum going into the locker room is going to be a big key. You can't let this game get out of shape.
Well, right now, Butler is outscoring Winthrop 21-9 outside the 3-point line.
7-0 run here for Butler to extend the lead. Savage rejected inside, but a foul called on Duby Okeke. Got the ball cleanly. I got him with the body.
And they tried putting Woodson over in the corner, and but he's in a no-help situation right now. And terrific. They do. Winthrop, we talked about their size being small, but they do have some rim protectors up front.
On CBS, Princeton and Notre Dame coming down to the wire. 10 years to the day after Winthrop earned its only NCAA win over 6 seed Notre Dame. Ted Valentine worked that game. He is working this game.
I had him in a game this year on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
Karma.
Charleston, South Carolina's Ted Valentine.
Nine straight now for Butler to get it to 17. Largest lead.
Good X out on the backside on that rotation.
Here's Cooks off the bounce. Junior from Australia gives it up. Johnson misses again. That's back-to-back misses from 3 for Keon Johnson. Sedgwick attacks, gets another foul. It's on the floor. Clock it doesn't count.
You know, because of his size depth, I think he has to take a step for extra range, but they're still able to close out on him, and it's just a terrific crossover and finish.
Yeah, Keon Johnson has a different launch angle than most.
Second foul on Anders Broman. Neither team reached a bonus yet. 16 fouls. Next one will send Butler to the 1-and-1. Here's Woodson again, covered up by Cooks. Into the post for Fowler. Fowler takes it at Okeke and gets another foul called on Duby Okeke.
You know, because of the three-point shooting depth, I think the post players for Butler they're not going to see double teams. I mean, they're going to have time to work, and you get a deep catch like that, and Okeke he just got buried in the lane.
Yeah, it's so hard to bring a double right there. Fowler's been terrific off the bench here in the first half.
Coming up on AT&T at the half, scores and highlights and the latest NCAA tournament news. All coming up, AT&T at the half. KK has 2 fouls. Anders Broman has 2 fouls now for Winthrop. Fowler gets them both. The lead is 19 for the 4-seed Butler. Best ever seed for the Butler Bulldogs as a 4.
That's the case, too, Carr, with all the years they had with Brad Stevens and getting to the Final Fours in the national championship game.
Back-to-back Final Fours. It's their 14th appearance in the last 21 years. On their opening round NCAA games, 5 straight trips. And Butler has looked poised from the beginning against Winthrop.
As good as they have been on the offensive end with their detail and their scheming on defense has been fantastic. Playing their concepts, doing a good job of gapping. This is not an overplaying up the line defense. They're really good at protecting the rim. They rotate well on the backside.
Woodson with 15 first half points from Butler. His career high 23. That came when he was at Memphis. Woodson commits the foul here on Roderick Perkins. 9 out of 10 now for the Butler Bulldogs. And oh, by the way, Butler Blue 3 is in the city of Milwaukee, not in the arena. Hink is here, the mascot. It's those championships in back-to-back years in 2010, 2011 under Brad Stevens. And now Chris Holtman. He came to Butler as an assistant to Brandon Miller. Coached 1 year, then resigned. So it was interim head coach Chris Holtman. Then he got the head job, and through all of that, you might imagine that affected some of Butler's recruiting and continuity. So they took a lot of transfers, guys like Tyler Lewis and now Avery Woodson as a graduate transfer, and it has all worked out brilliantly for Chris Holtman.
Well, it's amazing, with Brad Stevens, 3 straight plus 20-win seasons. But Dave, it's amazing how the grad student has become such a big part of college basketball.
Most coaches have dedicated an assistant in recruiting to manage that part of the recruiting phase. Got to be up on who's ready to graduate.
Fowler inside misses. Foul called on Winthrop. Fighting for the rebound.
I've been impressed with the schedule that Chris Holtman put together. They've already beaten this year Northwestern, Vanderbilt, Arizona, Cincinnati, Vermont, and Villanova twice. Teams in the tournament.
You talked about, Butler's defense and how sound it is. And plus, they're playing, they only have 5 personal fouls. So Winthrop has not been able to get into the penalty.
Davenport off the rebound miss. The foul was on Prescott, his second. So 2 Winthrop Eagles have 2 personal fouls. They're down by 17. Cooks nails the 3. Xavier Cooks. Dan Eric, assistant coach for the Illawarra Hawks, where Rodney Clark plays in Australia. Clark graduated from Butler.
That's a pretty gutsy shot for a guy who hasn't been seeing a big rim in the game.
Davenport strips that away from Fowler on the roll. Butler keeps it.
Butler so good at the screen action right here in the shoot. Little pick and roll, Fowler to the rim. That good success on that set, and Mike, like you were talking about, you've got shooters in the corners, you can't help on them.
Long Fowler couldn't corral it off the inbound. Butler keeps it again. Woodson off the shot fake, 9 to shoot. Savage to Woodson again in the corner. Way off. Davenport bothered the shot. Cooks end to end, can't finish. Savage brings it back. Johnson went for the steal. Now Butler resets.
Yeah, pretty good job, Winthrop, getting back in transition to stop that initial break.
Woodson into the post again. Fowler. 9 to shoot. Fowler blocked from behind. Foul called. It's on Josh Ferguson, 6'8" freshman from Miami.
But we talked about it. I think at least Winthrop has done a nice job of chasing them off the 3-point line. Butler's been working more in the paint in the last, say, 5, 6, 7 minutes.
I think it's because Fowler has given them a great presence inside. He came off the bench earlier in the first half with Tyler Lewis, and Lewis had 4 assists all in the shoot going inside of Fowler. And he's finishing off the half right here, doing a very similar thing with Savage at the top.
Getting to the line, that's now 10 points from the line from Butler, 5 of them from Nate Fowler.
Yeah, you're winning the 3-point line and the free throw line. Chances are you're going to be ahead in the game. And for Fowler, he's already at his season average right before half.
Found the matchup they like on the post and gone to it. Fowler gets a break. They're on the last possession. Travis back in there for Butler. Winthrop plays for the last shot. Bjorn Broman sets it up.
Baldwin defending Keon Johnson.
Cooks guarded by Travis. Back into the hands of Keon Johnson. Goes and gets the freshman Baldwin. Johnson gives it up. Cooks. Spinning around Travis. Cooks finishes with the right. A frustrating first.
Wrap him early in the second half, and obviously Keon Johnson has to be key. They've made his catches tough. Look for them to try to run him off some backdoor looks early to get some easier shots.
It's going to be curious to see who they come and double team with. If they come with a smaller double team, which might not be quite as effective, or if they try to come big.
Well, he's certainly not going to leave Woodson. And Baldwin is the other player for Butler that's hit a 3 in the game so far. And Martin, he's hit a 3 as well.
Everybody's trying to be Golden State, but this Butler team, with their perimeter post players who can pass, this is more like the old Olajuwon days in Houston, where you just surround them with shooters.
Prescott on the slip, can't finish at the rim. You saw the note. Winthrop down by 14. They've won 22 of their last 25. This is the largest halftime deficit of the year. They did have a scare in the semis of their conference tournament in the Big South. Went to overtime and beat Gardner-Webb.
See, they didn't bring the double that time, and then you get the repost.
Well, it was more of an offensive foul on Travis at time, but it was more of a dig. That it wasn't. They came with Johnson a little bit, and then you see the easy call. You dip the shoulder like that, that's an automatic charge.
Boy, it would help Winthrop if they could get in the bonus here. That's 2 quick fouls by Butler.
Back in December, Winthrop came from 14 down to beat Georgia Southern. That's the largest comeback of the year for the Eagles. They trailed by 14, started the second half. Trailed by as many as 19 in the first half. Perkins off the window to get it to 12.
You can see though, Deb, they're really, that was a nice shot and a nice finish, but Butler's really driving them off the three-point line. They're not getting any looks, good closeouts.
Travis in the paint. Backing in. Travis took a bump from Prescott. Play on. Out of bounds, Winthrop basketball.
That was a good switch in communication by Cooks, because otherwise Johnson ended up on Travis again.
Butler, who's the 4 seed here in the South. Then he had him at number 13 overall, so at the top of the 4s. Best seeding ever for the Bulldogs. Cooks. This is his first look at the second half and has a frustrated look after it spins out.
Well, that was a 4th shot. It was early in the shot clock. Poor decision.
Woodson again.
How does he continue to have so much real estate around him when he's shooting threes?
I think it's the cadence that Butler is playing with as Broman knocks down a jumper. Here's the thing, Mike. You know, if you don't keep your defender, the person you're guarding in front, they break you down and get to the middle and forces rotation. And you have to help on that dribble penetration. Just don't want to help off of Woodson. If you put him on ball side corner right here, you can't help right here for Keon Johnson.
Woodson's last 7 games now, he is over 60% from 3-point. I mean, you talk about a senior who waited, made the decision to come to Butler after not making the tournament with the Tigers. And he has been red hot in March when the Bulldogs needed him.
He didn't even score in the last game, which was a loss to Xavier.
Inside, Weidman left alone. Easy bucket for Tyler Weidman.
Well, the rotation at 4 and 5 for Butler, they've been getting easy looks just because there's been so much concentration on the perimeter.
Johnson draws 2 defenders. So back out to Cooks. Nails the 3.
That was a great job, Carter, by Keon Johnson to stretch that hedge all the way. It took Weidman all the way away from the basket. No time to recover.
Well, and in that instance, though, the shooting day that Cooks has had, you take a chance like that. Now they may not be able to hedge it as longer if he continues to knock down jump shots.
14 for Cooks, but it's taken him 16 shots to get there. Cooks gets the tip. And a run out, but it's all the way to Baldwin. Like a safety making an interception.
7 turnovers for Butler.
Baldwin brings it back with the left.
Good luck. And that was just, that ill-advised pass by Winthrop that time against Cooks, who's not ahead of the field.
That foul's on the floor. It's on Woodson. So again, Perkins bumped on the floor. The boys are back. TNT's hit series Animal Kingdom returns for a highly anticipated second season. Don't miss the premiere May 30th, 9 Eastern, only on TNT.
But to your point earlier, Deb, that's already the third team foul on Butler. They had 5 in the first half. If they can get into the penalty early, keep an eye on that, they can score with the shot clock or the clock not running.
Well, since Broman just hit a bucket, we just saw him come through the elevator door screen. Just a good call by Pat Kelsey to see if he can get him going a little bit.
Travis backing in on Cooks, draws a bump as Butler continues to play through the post. Butler led by as many as 19.
I think Mike White, the coach of the year at Florida and the SEC, has done a terrific job. But Steve Forbes, I'm pulling that upset right there.
You know, it's interesting with Virginia. This isn't a vintage Tony Bennett team. However, there's a question about their ability to score.
Follow Bleacher Report on Instagram and get the coolest sports content before anyone else. Join millions of others and follow Bleacher Report on Instagram now.
You know, we've seen really good point guard play, and for Florida to win, Casey Hill, the point guard for Florida, is going to have to be able to score and be able to make enough plays and distributing the basketball.
Back into the hands of Keon Johnson. Leading scorer, Big South Player of the Year. Johnson's been held to 8. Perkins 3 took a bump. There's a foul underneath. It's not on the shot. Woodson helps Perkins back to his feet. It's on Weidman.
There's the look, and I thought there was almost a foul on this play on the follow through on the 3.
Four team fouls now on Butler.
Neither of the Bromans, I mean, we talked about the 2 big guns, but neither of the Bromans have been a factor in this game at all.
Bjorn Broman misses that look, and now Okeke goes to the deck with a tackle on Andrew Schrabis.
You know, Tyler Weidman is a pretty good shot blocker. He has had a presence at the rim. There are a lot of shots that Winthrop have just barely missed or rolled off the rim. Haven't been able to finish while Weidman's on the floor.
Game 1 here in Milwaukee. We are in the South region. Up next, it is Minnesota trying to spring the upset over the 12 seed Middle Tennessee.
Question in the middle of the year whether Minnesota was going to make the tournament after losing 5 in a row, but then they came back to win 8 in a row.
Coach of the year of the Big Ten, Richard Pitino, has done a terrific job.
His first NCAA tournament game as a head coach. Butler turns it over again. Now can Winthrop convert? Johnson attacks. First bucket of the second half for Keon Johnson.
And Deb, I think it's the first open court basket that he's gotten in this game, the first real stop and look ahead.
You know, we talked about it earlier, Mike, how hard it is to speed Butler up. They're going to play their pace at their cadence. They're going to execute it. Woodson has been terrific in the first half, knocking down triples.
The Eagles are going to have to get stops, rebounds, and run, do a better job defensively.
That's 5 straight for Keon Johnson to pull Winthrop back within single digits. Keon leading the comeback effort.
Transition threes.
Pat Kelsey said he's the heartbeat of this team. He's got such an even-keeled demeanor that even a big deficit is not going to rattle this team.
He went for the steal and bothered Travis down low. Johnson wants it on the wing. Instead, it's inside. Davenport into the paint. Back out to Johnson. Keon Johnson takes it straight at Weidman. Play on, out of bounds. Turnover back to Butler.
Again, you said it earlier about how long they're staying with Johnson coming off the screen, just giving up the screener in that situation. That's what caused that turnover.
Yeah, watch. I mean, he rejects the screen. This is the one where he finishes quickly. One dribble from midcourt. This is a guy that is 5'6", that can get from one end of the floor from midcourt to the rim with one dribble.
And maybe arguably the fastest, or one of the fastest players in the, not just the tournament, but in the NCAA.
So what does Chris Holtman do? He goes to Tyler Lewis and brings him in off the floor. This is not the ball stopper for Butler. This is the player that gets him moving offensively.
Fowler backing in on Cooks. Draws a double, kick out. Martin. Johnson has it.
So the three's not going down early for Butler.
Johnson off the bounce, straight to the rim. Keon Johnson has pulled the Eagles within 7.
What a blow-by in transition. That's the speed that we've been waiting to see.
Number, Deb, that Butler already had 10 turnovers. That's been a factor here in the second half, and Winthrop getting back into the game.
That's 4 turnovers in the second half for Butler. This is a team that only turns it over 10 times a game, and now we got to call off the ball.
Another turnover for Butler to give it back to Winthrop. Those 7 points for Keon Johnson in a minute 41. So in a hurry, bringing Winthrop back into it. Asked Keon yesterday, who's going to be watching that special? He said, the NCAA tournament, the world is watching.
This is what Winthrop's been waiting for since Greg Marshall left for Wichita State. They were a regular in the tournament, but they were hungry to get back.
That's a walk. Davenport dragged the foot.
Keon Johnson gave up the ball. I think he needed to keep it. They were working on a little isolation play over on the strong side of the floor. They should have just let him work and rework off the screen. They were twisting their screening action for him, and he reversed the basketball.
like a repost inside. You know, the second post is usually the one that's more effective, and the rescreen is tough. You fight over one, and then you lose your passion for it the second time.
11 turnovers for Butler, the most since they turned it over. 16, but 1 at Villanova's pavilion. Lewis pulls off the shot clock, winding down. Got a foul right before the shot clock buzzer. It's on Keon Johnson. Talk about a bailout foul.
Well, he got switched onto a big inside, and they couldn't find the direct post. But I think Lewis, he had to get the shot up, but it's a huge bailout in a new 30 seconds.
Trying to box out Travis over there on the weak side.
Martin off the bounce. Into the paint. Martin fouled by Davenport.
Yeah, you said it earlier, Mike. Determined, a hungry scorer. When he catches the ball on the top of the key, Martin is looking at the rim. Watch this take right here off the bounce.
Misses the first. Watch live games on your computer, phone, tablet, or streaming device with NCAA March Madness Live. Watch now at ncaa.com/March Madness or download the app today.
And the thing with Martin, though, is he's been inconsistent this year, but when he gets going, I mean, he said, that being said, he still averaged 16 points a game. But when he gets it going, you got to ride that for as long as you can.
Question.
Butler was looking to make a sub. I don't think they got him to the table in time. Roman. So back to Keon Johnson. 10 to shoot. Johnson takes it. Spins out, gets his own rebound. Lost it, diving on the floor. Johnson gets a timeout. Keon Johnson, even after the miss, gets on the offensive glass. And a timeout granted.
That's his 14th offensive rebound of the season, Carter.
Seconds left. What Chris Holtman did was a strategic timeout. That one was to save possession. Both teams now down to 2 timeouts for the rest of the game.
Johnson from Ohio takes it. He was feeling that one.
Well, it's a great set off the timeout by Pat Kelsey to get him the basketball.
Pat Kelsey, the Ohio native, was the only coach who made an in-home visit to Keon Johnson. A big reason why he chose to go to Rock Hill, South Carolina, play for Kelsey and the Eagles.
He kept looking at him at an AAU event and looking at the coach sitting next to him saying, is this guy that good? What am I missing here? And he's just small. He's a small player, but he has figured out a way to be Conference Player of the Year.
Keon Johnson played on an AAU team with Nigel Hayes at Wisconsin, Mark Loving, Ohio State. So they definitely weren't coming to see me at the AAU events. Roman gets his third off the inbound. 2 chances. How about a third for Butler? Baldwin finishes it off. Back to a double-digit lead.
And that's, you know, against this team, you've been defending well in the second half. You can't give them multiple opportunities at the basket.
And now Lewis pushes. Travis tries to take it in himself on Cooks and finish. All Travis.
Great counter.
But has their offense been better since Lewis has come into the game?
It jump-started them in the first half, I thought, too, Mike.
Cooks takes it right at Travis on the other end. Cooks aggressive to the rim.
Yeah, I think, you know, his ability to hit down long-range shots, including a 3, sets up his drive, and I think he's got a quickness advantage against Travis, or either of the bigs inside.
Yeah, I think he does have the foot speed advantage.
Here's Lewis, gets past Roman and spins it in. The former McDonald's All-American, Tyler Lewis. Johnson with a steam block from behind by Fowler. Lewis attacks again and gets a foul called on Cooks. Watching the big dance calls for big refreshment, so grab a delicious ice-cold Coca-Cola and enjoy the game.
Deb, you remember when Tyler Lewis was at NC State?
Yes.
Even tonight, if he shaved his beard and walked into YMCA, he might not get picked if nobody saw him shoot or handle the ball. But he's just an assassin out on the court.
There's no question. I mean, he has an incredible basketball IQ, a great skill set to go with it. He's a determined young man. He's a good young man. I wish him well. He wants to, continue his playing career, he told us yesterday. But if not, he wants to be a coach, and I can definitely see him on the sidelines.
Talked about his engagement down. They got engaged in midcourt at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Pretty awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
His dad, Rick, will be his best man. Cooks off the shot fake. Contact, play on. Cooks upset he didn't get the whistle.
Yeah, he's trying to be aggressive. The same thing, trying to take him off the drive.
I think you got to do that after ball reversal. Get a chance to get the defense moving.
And then a frustrated Cooks on the other end commits the foul on Fowler.
Here's one, and this is just a great dump off right there. And he's saying, Cooks is saying it's the same thing happened down the other end of the floor. I didn't get the whistle.
Fowler has been solid for the Bulldogs. 7 points, 5 of them now, 6 of them from the line for the sophomore from Cincinnati.
You think you like about him too, Dad, is that he's 76% from the line. So you got to think he's going to be in an end game situation.
I mean, Mike, aren't you impressed with the depth of Butler on the perimeter and the way they can come off the bench and change, not lose anything, but with Tyler Lewis's effect on the team, his leadership, his experience in the NCAA tournaments.
And Avery Whitson's been pretty quiet. And, so other guys have been stepping up and scoring, and it's one of the quietest 18 points I've seen in a while.
Winthrop whittled the lead. Butler has responded. 10-2 run for the Bulldogs. Cooks. Needed that Cooks.
Yeah, now I'm starting to think there's a reason why you're wide open out there. You got to get a ball reversal. Keon Johnson, I think, has given up the basketball too early. I'm not a big fan of dribbling the basketball a lot in the corner court, but I think Keon Johnson, for him to be able to find space and angles, he's got to move with the ball.
Keon's looking up at that scoreboard now thinking, what's it going to take in 9-13? It's going to take a heroic effort.
Well, and maybe if you're going to run a high screen roll and have Cooks and Johnson run it where you have to honor both, and you can either pick and roll or pick and pop.
Martin follows his miss, ends up in the hands of Anders Broman.
So what he did, he brought the ball down in that situation, which you should never do as a rebounder, and you let a smaller guard strip.
Lewis off the screen, right to the rim off a good screen from Tyler Weidman.
Not only running the team, but this is as aggressive offensively as I've seen him in the game.
5 points, 4 assists for Tyler Lewis.
Just take what the defense gives you, Mike. You know that. Just read the defense.
So they still got a couple to play with.
Only one timeout left for Pat Kelsey on the Winthrop bench. Broman misses the three, boarded by Avery Woodson. 6 made threes in the game. Big number for them was 10+ made threes. They're 16-1 when they make double-digit threes, but only 6 for 19 against the Bulldogs. They're honoring that shot fake from Woodson for sure. 7 to shoot, back out Woodson, takes it, wide left.
Wow,
2 air balls.
Yeah, good shooters usually miss short or long. Bad shooters miss left and right, and it's for a guy who's had a highest percentage in this game, 6 of 10. The 2 of them have been air balls.
18 points, all of them on threes. He's only taken threes in the game. Meanwhile, Winthrop over its last 5. Pickett attacks. Martin bothered the shot. 6 straight misses for the Eagles. And a foul underneath. The 4 seed Butler. 7:44.
They're very good in the shoot.
Well, you think about it, this is an Eagles team that averages over 80 points a game. But it's not just been the offensive end. The defensive end for Butler's been really solid.
Winthrop had a 21-9 run to get it back into single digits, and then Butler has responded with a 12-2 run. Out of the timeout, Whitman gets a block inside. Another block for Butler. That is now 6. And Whitman finishes it off. The Bulldogs in command in Milwaukee. Johnson a miss, boarded by Martin. A 14-2 run now. Lewis back to Martin. Lewis offensive board, stripped by Perkins. Perkins tries to take it 1-on-4, but he gets a foul called on the floor.
Wow, this is just a great look ahead, and we talked about how this game changes, and Lewis not the fastest guy. That was a lob from half court. They made eye contact and a good finish on that play. Winthrop didn't get turned around in transition, and pay for it with this team. There's a lot of ways you can advance the ball off the dribble, or you can advance the ball on the look ahead, and that was a great look ahead by Lewis.
Just great balance on this Butler team. They share the ball. 49% of their baskets assisted. They were at that number at the half.
Johnson in the corner, covered up. He gets rid of it. Cooks against Travis.
You know, Cooks makes the play, but they're running those pick and rolls with Keon Johnson. You don't have to honor his screen. So it's making him really tough to get any kind of looks. They're staying with him for 2 or 3 extra counts.
And he's been very good at stretching out that hedge and throwing it back, a pitch back, but they're just not making plays off of it.
Martin attacks straight at Davenport.
Straight line drive at the rim.
A Butler team that has 14 wins against teams in the tournament, highlighted by the 2 over Villanova. Cooks spins it in.
And that's what we're talking about right there, Mike. He stretches the hedge. This time, Cooks wide open. Plenty of time to set his feet.
So, yeah, you know, you'll send, you spread the guys out, send the other 2 in. But I think the pick and roll action's got to be with those 2 guys. It wouldn't surprise me if Cooks rolls the next time. You know, just have them get back to close out on that 3.
Martin trips, foul called. Johnson reaching in, but it's Davenport who's called for the trip.
There's the look, and you know, at this point, you know, Keelan Martin's thinking, I've got a quickness advantage here. I'm going to test this guy's lateral movement. Like they bang knees a little bit. He's hobbling.
That's a concern for Butler, as Keelan Martin, the junior, the leading scorer out of Louisville, Kentucky's Ballard High School. The Parkers have hit the Big Apple. Watch the Detour, all new Tuesdays at 10 on TBS. Martin from Ballard High School, 3rd all-time leading scorer. Alan Houston and Jeff Lamp.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I had a lot of wars against Jeff Lamp at Virginia. And Alan Houston at Tennessee. Played it up from 3. How about this? How about with 16 of 24 at the free throw line? Winthrop 3 of 4.
Jeff Lamp, one of my favorite Virginia shooters of all time.
Yeah, Lee Raker on that team. There's some guy named Ralph Sampson came along. You think he did okay?
But he wasn't a three-point shooter, right? Just to clarify.
No, just 3-time National Player of the Year. That was the only 3 he made.
Perkins hit the last time from 3, misses this one, and Lewis is running the Bulldogs again. Somehow corrals that for Travis. An odd assist. Butler gets a timeout called. Chris Holm was
better for the team. It was better for her. And at first she said, I was upset at first, but I had to do whatever it took to help that team. That team made it all the way to the title game and lost to Stanford. But because of that understanding of the college game, that has helped Keelan Martin immensely in his experience.
Now, Keelan Martin's mother played in a dynasty period for Western Kentucky. They went to 3 Final Fours during that time with his mom on the roster.
I don't understand that last shot by Keon Johnson, Deb. Travis, they had him switched off, and he settled for the 3 and missed everything. You know, I think you got to try to hit the lane at that point. You got a big on you. You know, you can get by. He can get by anybody on the floor.
Mike, we know Winthrop likes to play fast. We've talked about them averaging 80 points a game. They've averaged 85 points since February. Is it?
Thank you, Lisa.
We're going to see Winthrop now has been in the last couple of possessions when they can, just an all-out press, try to turn Butler over, but it's tough to do. Lewis he has not been out of the game since he's gotten in, and Chris Holtman can't get him off the court. He's playing too well, and the team's playing too well.
You know, in this pressure, I would think Butler would be very difficult to press because of their backside scoring, but they're just trying to take some time right here.
5 to shoot. Baldwin comes out to get it, 3 to shoot. Baldwin attacks. Has to heave it up. Johnson has the rebound, bringing Winthrop back. Into the corner, Perkins.
Good job by Travis in transition just to gap it up just enough to show some numbers to Johnson in transition in the paint.
Prescott with the shot fake gets a foul called on Wideman with 3:52 to go. Game 1 in Milwaukee. And even when Winthrop was able to whittle a 19-point lead down to single digits, Butler responded with a 14-2 run. And now the Bulldogs are closing in on another opening round win. They won their opening round NCAA game 5 straight trips. Haven't lost in the first round since 2009 to LSU. And with Keelan Martin nursing the sore knee on the bench, Butler continues the roll. Lewis attacks the late dunk for Savage.
When you have your point guard as your last line of defense, you're not going to stop many breaks if you get past the first line.
Really dangerous to press Butler full court.
They're trying to put size up front with Cooks. Just get somebody on the ball in that first couple of double teams. Butler's handled this easily.
Tyler Lewis, 8 assists in the basketball game versus 1 turnover.
Lewis has it in his hands. Just over 3 minutes to go. A Butler team who was 5-5 in their last 10. One of those wins was at Villanova, but less than perfect basketball coming in. Winthrop holding out hope.
Mismatch.
Savage comes in to help, draws the foul.
Yeah, he had to. That Tyler Lewis was buried inside. Savage tried to dig in, but got the foul. 8th personal foul, so Winthrop's still in it. And you see the late dig in. You got to come in with your hands up and try to seal that off.
That matchup happened because Winthrop really pushed the basketball in transition.
It's a killer too. You're in that zone where you're on the front end of the 1-on-1. You don't convert. It's an empty possession.
This looks like the old 4 corners, Mike.
Yeah. Lewis has been good, but he's not been Phil Ford today.
No one is.
Yeah.
Baldwin can't finish at the rim. Johnson takes a tumble as he comes back down the floor. Got inadvertently tripped. Cooks inside and 1. Fouls on Lewis, stopping the clock with 2:16.
Second possession in a row where they've gotten the switch and Lewis on a bigger player, and Cook's just taking advantage of it.
Cook's going to the line. You think about the Winthrop head coach Pat Kelsey now in his 5th season, coaching his first NCAA tournament game as a head coach. It was Skip Prosser who brought him to Xavier after he started his career at Wyoming. It's 10 years after Skip Prosser passed away. And both Pat Kelsey and Chris Mack at Xavier, 2 former Skip Prosser assistants who had their teams here in the NCAA tournament.
Well, there's a Skip Prosser Award in the ACC awarded every year to the the best student athlete combination. Davon Reed for Miami in the tournament won it this year, but so fitting that award was named after him because Skip was actually a high school teacher, and told me once that it really improved him coaching, actually having to teach a class and come up with a curriculum and keep the attention of 25 students.
Attention to detail, something that Pat Kelsey is known for and learned from Coach Prosser. He was one of the most well-respected guys in the profession.
Travis late in the clock. It was our man Pete Gillen who got Skip Prosser to come to Xavier after Bob Hurley turned the job down.
Butler going to be very deliberate.
I like the four corners.
Yeah.
And they have all the offensive pieces of the puzzle for Butler. They've executed it well thus far. Foul called on Keon Johnson with a minute 13. Enter Infinity's round-by-round bracket where each correct pick nets a donation to Coaches versus Cancer.
Well, Deb Carter, it was Woodson who gave them their confidence in the first half, but I think it's been Tyler Lewis that's been the main key in this second half.
I don't think there's any question. And talking to Tyler yesterday, confidence was exactly the word that he used. Remember, this is a Butler team coming off of 2 losses coming into the tournament. And their confidence came because this is a team that beat Villanova twice in the regular season.
And imagine that Villanova had 3 losses on the year, 2 of them to this team.
So how far can Butler go in the tournament?
Well, I know they're praying to play Villanova at some point.
They're the only ones.
Unfortunately, they have North Carolina on their side of the bracket.
3 in the corner, giving Winthrop some hope. There's a final timeout. But this is the best seed they have drawn. Butler has been businesslike today against the 13-seed Winthrop.
And a lot of love around the country for Middle Tennessee State in that game. They've been a popular upset pick.
Not often you get a 5 seed out of the Big Ten who gets to play the underdog card against a team from Conference USA.
Exactly.
Dino actually embraced that idea with us yesterday. We were talking at the practice, too. Interesting.
Well, Middle Tennessee State presents 3 players that can really score. And Ja'Cory Williams is their top scorer. And he has had a fantastic year for Kermit Davis. But I think Richard Pitino has his team ready to go. I'm liking their presence at the rim, and Nate Mason, I think, is one of the, not unheralded, but certainly very valuable point guards in the tournament.
You talk about assist-to-turnover ratio with him. My goodness.
And the winner of this game will face either the Golden Gophers or the Blue Raiders. Kindergartner's delight with the color schemes. So for Winthrop,
a chance now for the crowd to give Keon Johnson a little love as he comes off the floor.
Final word from Pat Kelsey. Standing ovation from mom and dad for Keon Johnson. Winthrop was able to break through. Champs of the Big South. First NCAA tournament appearance since 2010.
Since Central Carolina left to go to the Sun Belt, it's kind of, or Coastal Carolina, I'm sorry. It's changed the format now, and now the #1 seed has the home court advantage, and that really played into Winthrop's hands this year.
I don't believe there's another player in the tournament smaller than Keon Johnson, nor as fast. What an inspiration he is for what he's been able to accomplish as the player of the year in his league, winning the tournament MVP, and for 4 years, as Lisa mentioned early in the broadcast, and you did too, Mike, about how hard these kids worked to get here, losing their conference tournament final 3 years in a row until they finally won this year to make it to the NCAA.
Xavier Cooks, the junior from Australia, subs out. Winthrop, who has won 22 of the last 25, capturing the Big South Tournament Championship.
I think that, and I think to give a little love to Pat Kelsey too, I think he's one of the really bright young head coaches in the NCAA.
Not much longer until he gets a bigger job.
Yeah, I would think not, Deb. I would agree with you completely. And you know what? I saw that in Chris Mack and him at Wake when I go to practice and watch them. You just got a sense of guys who have that it factor, you know, and both of them have it.
It's that teacher factor that they have, and Chris Mack has it as well.
Cincinnati native, Elder High School. But it's the Butler Bulldogs who are going to advance in the South region here in Milwaukee. 5-5 coming in, slumping into the NCAA tournament. That barely mattered for the Butler Bulldogs. It was Woodson with a hot hand early, and Tyler Lewis carrying the offense late for Butler. Sean McDermott gives it up to the hands of Perkins. Perkins will finish it off for Winthrop. A solid season for the Eagles. But it is Butler who wins it 76-60.